The Sea Spray Project report dates from 1953. This document should have been a simple scientific note. But a single line in that report reveals an unknown mortality rate. This figure sharply contrasts with the official data of the era. The archives suggest that the launch of this experiment generated biological consequences that no one sought to record. Why does this detail never appear in official reports? This silence, this absence of trace, hides the true nature of the biological residue. The foundational document, the Project Sea Spray Summary of 1953, is classified top secret. It details experimentation protocols conducted on subjects who gave no consent at McGill University, under the auspices of the CIA. The archives point toward lethal chemical doses and uncontrolled biological waste. Yet, no detail appears in the official reports. The researchers who accessed these containers left traces that contradict the official narrative. Consulting the archives reveals the Church Commission report from 1975. This report examined secret programs. It made no direct reference to sea spray. Researchers found institutional censorship. The archives show that officials actively omitted any mention of residues from public reports after 1960. Investigators found a line in the document indicating a deliberate attempt to conceal the existence of these substances. But who knew exactly? Samples of seawater collected in 1995 reveal abnormal concentrations of persistent organic compounds. These concentrations suggest environmental contamination that was never treated or acknowledged by the authorities. Researchers found persistent traces within the marine ecosystems. But what remains unexplained is the exact nature of this contamination. FBI archives, including NARA files, contain information regarding cover-ups concerning the chemical accidents of the 1960s. These files suggest that unregulated discharges were an operational reality. Chemical traces, the metabolites of the experiments, persisted in the marine environment. Researchers found that the persistence of these compounds suggests contamination that was never addressed. But how did intelligence agencies manage this information? The archives indicate that the initial protocols involved lethal doses. Declassified documents suggest that chemical discharges were never properly neutralized. The researchers who accessed these containers revealed the existence of secret biological cleanup protocols. But these documents remained classified. The archives show that the attempts at concealment were coordinated at a higher level. What followed in the biological cleanup file was never explained. The gap between the official version and the chemical reality is immense. Public reports mention no substance named sea spray. The archives demonstrate active censorship to prevent public recognition of the associated risks. Researchers found that this omission was not accidental. The attempts to conceal were orchestrated to maintain the facade. But who benefits from this silence? Until now, one might believe that scientific operations were managed according to legal protocols. But a single line in the 1953 report poses a fundamental problem. Declassified documents suggest that the protocols involved uncontrolled chemical discharges, leaving persistent traces in the environment. The officials claim the chemicals were managed without risk. The archives reveal a contradiction: biological residues exist, but they were intentionally erased. But if the traces are present, what exactly was erased? What if what we have seen is not a simple anomaly? What if it is the manifestation of a much larger control system? If the chemical traces in the ocean floor reflect deliberate risk management, then the archives do not merely hide errors. They draw an architecture of concealment. What remains unexplained is the exact nature of this management. It is the mechanism by which information was filtered across the decades. This is not the only program the archives chose to bury. The files detailing biological migration and attempts to neutralize environmental consequences suggest a continuity in control methods. These methods extend far beyond the scope of mere scientific experimentation. The 1995 seawater samples reveal specific metabolite concentrations. These compounds were not identified in the 1953 reports. A single figure, isolated in a footnote from 1971, suggests a sequence of events beyond accidental contamination. The archives reveal a coordination between intelligence agencies and environmental bodies. They work to maintain a facade of normalcy. The chain of command that validated this suppression remains the critical unknown. We have seen the traces of the residue. But if the real question is not what was hidden, but why these traces persist today, the documents point toward institutional responsibility. Yet the silence of the archives suggests a layer of truth deeper still. This program is officially closed. What replaced it is the next episode.